If you've ever felt like stress is running the show, then you are not alone. I remember the times that my mind just wouldn't stop racing. I'd wake up exhausted, my body would ache, my to-do list would just keep growing and growing. I would look at my calendar and actually feel this panic and anxiety come over me with how much I'd put on myself. And then when I became a mum, it all got a lot worse. Having a child for the first time can be hard work. Suddenly there was everything else to do as well. Looking after your child, cleaning the house, cooking, looking after the animals, working. My to-do list went from being packed to being extremely overwhelming. Luckily, I had yoga, and today I want to show you ways that yoga can help you manage your stress. So some of these might seem really simple, but please stick with me because some of these things I had heard before and I was just like, nah, that won't work for me, that won't work for me. I'm too stressed. I don't have time to slow down. I don't have time to take deep breaths. What on earth are deep breaths going to do for me? But stick with me, okay? Because that's exactly what I used to think until I actually started to put it all into practice. So tip number 1 is to slow down. Now I know you're going to look at your to-do list and think, I can't slow down. There is way too much on there. But what I want you to do is to take each task nice and slow. One thing that I used to do was to completely try to rush through every single thing on my list. I would literally be running around the house, getting annoyed at the animals for getting under my feet, getting annoyed when my daughter would ask me questions because she'd be taking up my time where I felt like I didn't have enough time to do the things that I needed to do. But when I actually slowed down and focused on one task at a time, those tasks became more productive. I actually got more done. So what I mean by this is I would be cleaning one room. Say I was cleaning this room here and I saw a pile of washing. I would then pick up the washing, go to the washer, decide then that, oh, there's wet washing in there. I need to go and hang that out. Hang that out. Notice maybe that the washing line was dirty and I'd have to clean the washing line first. Then noticing something else was dirty, get distracted, and all of a sudden, I am now doing 10 things that weren't actually on my to-do list, but now I know that they need to get done because I've seen them. So when I stopped doing that, and I thought, no, I will focus on this room first. This room then got clean, whereas before it wouldn't have, right? Because I got distracted with the washing and would go do something else. So then this room got clean. Then I would take that washing, go and do something else. So yes, I may not have got every single thing done on my to-do list, but the things that I were doing got done a lot better. So it's kind of having that attention to focus on one thing rather than letting your mind get distracted. Most of the time, our bodies are in a state of fight or flight. Now, when you're rushing from one thing to another, that's your body in flight. It's like, forget this room, let's go sort that, let's go sort that. Oh no, this thing needs doing, let me go and sort that thing. And you're constantly rushing around. What you actually need to do is calm your nervous system. It's because your nervous system is going into overdrive. So when we actually calm our nervous system down, which isn't an easy thing to do if you are somebody who is constantly in fight or flight, and this was me, this is why I really struggled when somebody said to me, take deep breaths or slow down. I'd be like, hell no, I've not got time for that. When actually it's because my body really needed that it was going, nope, that sounds too scary. I'm not going to get enough done. I don't want to do that. I'm going to run away from it. Okay? But we actually need our bodies to slow down. Now, when we slow down our body and we calm the nervous system within, your brain can actually think a lot more clearly. And all those little tasks that you think you need to get done right this second, your brain has got time to think and it will say, do you know what? They do need doing, but we don't have to do it right now. That is something we will get around to. Now, doesn't that just sound so much nicer to hear than, oh my God, I need to do this now? And that is what happens when we actually calm down the nervous system. And this is exactly what yoga does. So even if you only have like 10 minutes to practice, a 10-minute yoga practice can completely calm the nervous system. So when you then go to do all your tasks, you actually feel better getting them done and you can focus on one thing rather than letting that mind get distracted, especially if this is work, right? If you're like working from home, your mind is going to be a lot more clearer to think things through a little bit more logically, and you can actually get better work done. So once you've started to implement this and you're adding in just like 10 minutes a day, this is when we can get into yoga a little bit more and we can focus on longer holds. So if you haven't heard of yin yoga, I have got quite a few classes on my channel. You can click the link up here to go and watch one right after this class if you want to. Yin yoga is where we hold the poses for around 5 minutes. We're holding them for a couple minutes to completely relax the body. You're in these poses, not saying that these poses are always easy because they're not, but you're training your body to release, to let go, which is why when you even do a pose that's a little bit harder, it's better for your mind and your body because you're training your body to let go of that tension, to release, to just relax and just be. Yin yoga teaches us how to do this. Now, when I first started yoga, I was all about, you know, coming up into wheel pose and getting these funky classic poses and doing the faster, flowier classes, and yin yoga to me was like, nah, that's too boring. I don't want to do that. As I've got more into my journey, I've realized that actually yin yoga is exactly what everybody needs because we all need to find those quiet, calmer moments. And actually, yes, yin yoga might be slower, doesn't mean it's easier. So yin yoga is a great way to kind of reset the whole nervous system. And tip number 3 is breath work. The number one thing that used to stress me out when I was scrolling on TikTok and somebody would say, hey, just take a moment and deep breathe with me. And I'd be like, no, I've not got time for that. Flick, scroll past. When actually, once we're learning yoga, we're learning to breathe in the poses anyway. And if you imagine when you're stressed, when you're scared, your breathing quickens, right? You kind of tense the body. It's harder to breathe. So when we actually take these long, deep inhales and exhales, we're telling the brain that we're safe. We're telling the brain that we're calm. It's tricking your brain, even if you're not feeling like that, which is why they say if you're stressed, take some long, deep breaths, because you're tricking your brain into believing that you are calm. And when we do that, the heart rate slows down, that vagus nervous system kicks in, the vagus nerve, and it tells your brain that you're calm, that you're safe. And that's when you can gain more clarity. And that is when stress releases from the body. So we're going to go more into this in my next class that's coming out, in my slow vinyasa class. So if you're interested in breath work and how to do it with yoga poses, don't forget to watch that one. But tip number 4 is to do grounding poses. So there is actually proof that being close to nature and even being outside is calming for the mind. It actually helps to release that stress. So if you can get outside, that is amazing. Doing yoga outside is really, really grounding and you will feel amazing after doing that. But even just things like getting closer to the ground physically. So doing things like child's pose, laying on your belly, laying on your back, doing poses that are nice and close to the ground can actually help you to feel more steady. It's like that physical sensation, right? Even standing in mountain pose, standing still, feeling that ground beneath you can help you feel supported. And when you feel supported, the stress releases. This is also really good for anxiety as well. So if you're quite an anxious person, just feeling the floor beneath you is really good. One thing that I do if I'm feeling extremely anxious is if I'm sat somewhere, I will physically dig my feet into the ground. Like even if I've got shoes on, I will push my feet into the ground as much as possible, and this helps me so much. I remember once I had to do jury duty and I was so nervous. I was one of the first juries to be put up onto the stand, and I was like shaking. I wasn't even me on trial, right? I was just the jury. But I had to physically push my feet into the ground, and within 10 seconds, my whole body just settled. So it's a really great practice to do. And the 5th thing is consistency. So all of these tips are amazing, but if you don't keep them up, that stress is going to keep coming back, right? Our bodies learn, our minds learn. So the more we repeat things, the more your body will naturally go to that place. If you are constantly rushing and you keep saying to yourself, I'm always busy, I've got too much to do, that's exactly what your brain thinks, and that's exactly what's going to keep happening. If You can practice all these things. If you can do yoga, if you can slow down your breath, if you can stay grounded, your brain will naturally come to these conclusions on their own, right? So next time you're feeling stressed, your brain, there'll be a little switch that goes ground, breathe, and you can ground, breathe, and you'll feel so much better. So consistency really is key. If consistency is something that you do really struggle with, this is where having like a mentor or a coach or a yoga teacher can really, really help. So if you're interested, I have a 5-day free trial into my membership where we go live twice a week, and this helps people to come back, right? There's hundreds and hundreds of replays in there, but most of my students turn up to the live classes because they want that consistency. I'm in the UK, so they're currently at 2 p.m. on a Monday and 9:30 a.m. on a Friday, but we do have all the replays there as well. And inside this membership, we also have some meditations and some tappings to really help with that mindset and to release that stress. So if that is something that you feel like you're interested in, click the link in the description. Come and join me now with a 5-day free trial. And if you want to put this into practice right now and practice the breathwork with the slow vinyasa class, don't forget to check out the video that's going to pop up on your screen now.